All right, welcome to this week's weekly Forex forecast for the week ending October 25th, 2024. In today's video, we are talking about the DXY, the EURUSD, the Pound USD, and also the Dollar Yen. So let's go ahead and kick things off here, guys, with the DXY, looking at the daily time frame. So we are finally getting a pullback here from this market because apart from today, guys, it's basically been about 3 weeks, okay, 3 trading weeks worth of green days. I mean, we had this one back here right below 102.60, but I really wouldn't count that as a red day simply because this was essentially just an indecision candle where the market opened and closed the same price. And right now we are, again, getting a little bit of a pullback here today, potentially a bearish engulfing candle. And it does kind of make sense when you look at these highs back here. So what I've talked about this week is that, in my opinion, we are probably not going to get a more significant pullback from the DXY until we get up here in this 104 to 105 area. Now, at the moment, okay, again, we've got these lows back here, which is triggering a little bit of selling pressure from the US dollar here today. So we'll see how this goes for the rest of today. But one thing I'll be careful of, though, next week is getting too bearish on the US dollar while it's above areas like this back here, right around 103.30 or so. So this is going to be new support here for the DXY, as long as it is trading above. So potentially for next week, we are looking at, pull back into this area, area of value, and then potentially that move back here toward the 104 to 104.50 area. So again, this is the consolidation back here that I'm referring to. This is now going to flip to support here for the DXY next week. Now, if we get a close below this, you've still got this area around 102.60 to deal with, which, as you guys know, if you've seen recent videos, you know about this area because this right here, if we go all the way back to 2023, this is the channel that the DXY was trading in for quite some time, about a year, and then it failed over here in this area, and we've since had a reclaim of that level. So as long as the DXY is above 102.60, guys, I am relatively bullish on this market. In fact, very bullish on this market. I do think that this right here could be the technical catalyst for a move higher over the coming weeks and months for the US dollar. So I think it's dangerous getting too bearish on this market while it's above this 102.60 area. Until that time, as long as the market's above here, guys, I am looking for, rather shallow pullbacks from the US dollar. But again, you've got to be careful with this area just above today's rates, right around 104 to 104.50. All right, so next up, let's take a look here at the EURUSD, which is bouncing from this support area right back here, this little pivot right around 108.40 or so. You can see where yesterday's candle did close just below, but this is why you don't want to short at the lows. Like I always say, it sounds very basic, but you want to short high, long low, right? So in this case, with this market moving this aggressively here over the past few weeks, you would not want to be looking for shorts down here. If you were able to get short on breakdowns like this through here, or even this one, then I think that makes a lot more sense. But once you start getting down here toward our final target at 1.08, it makes a lot less sense to be shorting this market. So with the EURUSD now potentially closing back above this pivot from right back here, right around 1.084, all right, you've got these highs back here, these lows and these highs, then this could flip to support for next week, and we could get that push back toward levels like 109. So notice back here, we've got all these lows through here. This also aligns with the DXY down there toward like 103.20, 103.30. So we could just get this, a move up here, clear out some shorts through here, and then get that rotation lower down there toward the lows from August, right around 1.08. So I continue to think, though, that the EURUSD is probably going to test this trend line down here. So if we look out here to the lows from all the way back here in 2023, we've got these lows back here. We've got this one here. So it does kind of make sense that over the coming days and weeks, we get a retest down there in that area. But again, if you're looking for opportunities here, just my opinion, not financial advice, but I think you want to look for relief here from this downtrend. Okay, back toward areas like 109, up here into this consolidation and these highs back here before you start entertaining a short for next week with a target down there around 108. All right, guys, so, potentially a little bit of relief here for the euro next week with this bounce. But again, as long as we're below areas like this over here, right around 1.09, and the DXY is above those areas we talked about, that I do like the idea of looking for shorts on the euro at resistance with a target down there around 1.08. All right, next up we have the pound, guys, GBPUSD, which on the daily time frame, it's pretty clear that this area right now is serving as resistance here today. Now, the question, though, is will we get further relief here from this market next week with the DXY potentially pulling back? And, the potential is certainly there. What I think that the pound has to do here is close above this area back here in a convincing manner. In other words, if it were to close right where it is, at the moment, it is still technically right there at that key level. It would have to close somewhere up here convincingly back within this consolidation to trigger the move higher for next week to clear out some of these highs back here. All right, so this is another case, though, where I think you've got to be careful trying to short this market through here, simply because, again, you want to try to short high, long, low. And with the DXY pulling back today and looking at that 103.20, 103.30 area for the DXY, then we could get this market moving back here to, again, take out some of these highs before we get the rotation lower down there toward imbalances like this one around 1.29. Okay, so not a huge fan of trading this one right now just because of the recent consolidation. I mean, compared to the euro, this one has held up relatively well. It's also been a little bit more difficult to trade because in the euro's case, we got a nice downtrend following that DXY strength. And with the pound, if you notice here, this, even though we've gotten, lower highs and lower lows, this has been very choppy and difficult to trade. All right, so I'm not as fond of this one right now. But like I have said recently, if you're looking for something that is more kind of a broader perspective in terms of where these markets could be going over the coming months, I think this one makes a lot of sense simply because since this rally began back here in April, we've talked about this before, but if you'll notice here, the closing prices here on the weekly, notice how the market never closed below it through here. Same thing over here, closing price here, the market never closed below. It tested it, but never closed below. Now, if you look up here, okay, we had the weekly close here, and then we got the close below on this weekly candle. So this right here gives us a fake out above that mark. And this, in my opinion, as long as the pound is below 132 to 132.50, in my opinion, this is now a bearish market. In my opinion, that was a change of structure right there for the pound that could open up some lower levels over the coming weeks. So whether we get a retest up there around 132 to 132.50 is yet to be seen. I personally, guys, would love to see that simply because if you'll notice here on this candle, and I'll just leave you with this candle right here, this is an imbalance or inefficiency right now because this was a very aggressive move on the weekly. And if you'll notice, last week, we got really no retrace into this candle. So there's still an imbalance up here in this area. So if we were to get the DXY, let's say pulling back toward 102.60 and the pound moving up here to test this closing price back here, something like this, I think that would be, ideal in my opinion for, looking for shorts up here in this area for that move down toward levels like 129. And again, you can see this here on the weekly as well. All right, just like this up here is an imbalance or inefficiency in the market because there was no retrace. Look at this candle back here on the weekly as well, okay? And this is why I'm targeting 129 as well. But, timing is key, right? Timing is key with these markets. And with an imbalance like this up here, also the DXY starting to pull back a little bit, if you're looking for the best risk reward, it doesn't mean we get it, but a move up here toward, 132, 132.50 could be textbook for the pound to start looking for shorts. So last but not least, let's take a look at the dollar yen here, which is an interesting market. It's not one I trade too often because of the volatility, but you can see that this trend line going back to 2022, we had a break below this and also a break below this shorter term trend line back here. Since that time, obviously the market has been in a downtrend, and as long as it's below 151 to 152, I think you've got to be really careful getting bullish on this market. If you are bullish, in my opinion, it is best to be a short-term bull, simply because if you look back here, these highs, right, the moment that this market lost this area through here, right in this area, the moment it lost that, this flips to resistance, okay? Hence the red box up here. So I think if you are, again, if you're bullish on this market, if you were bullish through here, anywhere along this area that we've talked about, which there were a couple of long setups, I think that it's best to be short-term bullish on this market and really be careful of 151 to 152, just because, again, the market did lose that back here in this area. So let's talk about that for a moment here. When we look at this, what could we be looking at here next week for the dollar yen? So first of all, guys, this right here, even though we have seen this uptrend, it has been very choppy. And I would be really careful trying to get bullish on this, especially with the DXY starting to pull back a little bit. Just because if we look at this on the 4-hour, which I'll be honest with you, I haven't done yet. But if we look at this here, you can see where off of these highs, right, this is starting to look a little bit dangerous here. And by dangerous, what I'm referring to is the potential for a pullback, right? So this, in my opinion, is not what you want to be longing. If anything, I mean, we could be looking for a short here for a move back down here toward this area, right? Right around like 147 or so. So this would be an interesting area if we saw it tested next week. So something down here in this area for the bounce, and then that move back there toward 151 to 152. I think that's probably the most straightforward setup here for the dollar yen. But again, I think you've got to be really careful getting too bullish on this market while it's below this area up here, having lost it right back here in August. So we'll see how this unfolds. But right now, with the DXY looking like it might pull back, also this market starting to look a little fatigued up here. I do think that looking for a pullback down here into like 147, 146.50, followed by a bounce from here, right? Something like this back there toward this area to get a retest up there, I think is the most straightforward, play here for the dollar yen next week. But we'll see how this plays out. We'll see if this breaks down and what we get here early next week. But this right here on something like the 4-hour could be something to watch early next week. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Don't forget to join us in VIP. Claim your 90% off lifetime access. See the link in the description of this video, or if you're on the website, click on that Join VIP link. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you again next week.